I am back. We are in chapter 14, I think. Yeah. Chapter 14 in Genesis. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arco, something, I don't know how to say that, king of Lazarus, Cheddar Homer, king of Elam, the title king of Golan. These kings made war with Bern, king of Sodium, Berksha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemember, king of Zebora, the king of Bela, that is Zor. And these joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer, the king who were with him in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzma, and the Ham, and the Eman, and Shaven, Kiriathim, and the Hortus in their hill country, Sarah, as far as Ephelm, on the border of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Mizpah, that is Kadesh, the featured all the country. Where'd it go? All the country of Immaculates, and also the Amorites who were dwelling in Hazar Tamar, the king of Sodium, the king of Garmith, the king of Admaiah, the king of Zebulai, and the king of Bela, that is Zor, went out and joined the battle valley of Siddim. The Chedon king of Elam, Tide king of Golan, April king of Shinar, and Architect king of Lazarus, 4 against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen's pits. As the king of Sodium and the Gomer filled, some fell into them, and the rest fled to the hill country. So the enemy took possession of Siddim, Gomer, and all their provisions, and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who was dwelling in Sodom, and his possessions, and went their way. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living in the oaks of Mamre, and a Moritite, brother of Eshcol and of Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsman had been taken captive, he led forth his trained men born in his house, 318 of them, and were pursued as far as Dan. And they divided forces against them by night, and he and his servants and defeated them, persuade them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all the possessions and also brought back his kinsman Lot with his possessions and the woman and his people after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him. But the kings of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaven, that is the king's valley, and Melchizedek, king of Salmon, I don't know, brought out the bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and blessed him, and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, professors of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And then Abram gave him a tenth of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted my hands to the Lord God, Most High, professors of heaven and earth, that I would not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me, and near Ishkol and Merari. Take their share. Chapter 15. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Fear not, Abram, I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great. But Abram said, O Lord, what will you give me? I continue childless, and the heir of my house, Eliezer of Dan Ash, I don't know how to say that, Damascus. And Abram said, Behold, you have given me no offspring, and a member of my household will be my heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, This man shall not be your heir, your very own son shall be your heir. And he brought him outside and said, Look toward heaven and numbers the stars, if you are able to number them. And he said to them, So shall your offspring be. And he believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness. And he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out from of the Chaldeans to give you this land of possessions. But he said, O Lord, how am I to know that I shall possess? He said to him, Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he brought him all these cut in half, and laid each half over against the other half, but he not cut the birds in half. And when the birds of prey came down on their carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and behold, dread and full of great darkness fell upon him. The Lord said to Abram, Know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they will serve there afterwards shall come with great possessions. As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace, and you shall be buried in a good old age. And they shall come back here in the fourth generations of the Anakim, of the Amorites. And it is not yet complete when the sun has gone down, and it was dark. Behold, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch passed down. These pieces on that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, and said, to your offspring I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates, the land of Canaanites, and the Canaanites of the Cadmonites. The Hittites were the Perizzites. The Rephaim was the Amorites, and the Canaanites was the, I don't know how to pronounce that, Girgashites, and the Gibetes. Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no child. She had a female Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, behold, now the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go in on my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. When she saw she had conceived, she looked with content on her mistress. And Sarai said to Abram, may the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my servant to your embrace. And she looked and saw that she had convinced. She looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me. But Abram said to Sarai, behold, your servant is in the power. Do to her as you're pleased. Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of the water in the wilderness. The spring of the way Shur. And he said, Hagar, the servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? She said, I am fleeing of my mistress, Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her. The angel of the Lord said to her, I will surely multiply your offspring so that they cannot be numbered by multitude. And the angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are pregnant and shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael. Because the Lord has listened to your affliction, he shall be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he shall dwell over all his kinsmen. So she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, you are a God of seeing. For she said, truly here I have seen him who looks after me. Therefore the well was called Beer Elot Ro. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Adam a son, and called him the name of his son, who Hagar bore Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, The Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make my covenant between me and you, and may multiply you greatly. Then Abram fell on his face and said to God, Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and your king shall come for you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after throughout the generations, for an everlasting covenant to be God to you, to your offspring after you. I will give to you and to your offspring after the land of your son's journeyings, all the land the leaves crunching, and there's something up there. I'll be back. I hear something up there. I am back. It was just my dog and the leaves blowing on concrete from the wind. Land of Canaan for an everlasting possessions, and I will be their God. And God said to Abraham, As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offspring after you throughout the generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring. After every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of foreskins, and it shall be a sign of covenant between me and you. He is 80 days old among you shall be circumcised every male throughout your generations, whether born into your house or bought with your money from any foreign who is not of your offspring. Both he who is born in your house and he is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, and everlasting covenant. And circumcised and uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of foreskin shall be cut from his people. He has broken my covenant. And God said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her the name Sarai, but Sarah. shall be her name. It will bless her, and moreover, I will give you a son. By her I will bless her, and shall become nations kings. People shall come to her. And then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, said to him, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And then Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. God said, no, but Sarah your wife shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him, everlasting covenant, for his offspring after him. As Ishmael I have heard from you, behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He shall father 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, who Sarah shall bear to you. This time next year, when he had finished talking with him, God went up to Abraham and said, Abraham took Ishmael, his son, all those born in his house, or bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very day, as God said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And that very day Abraham and his sons Ishmael was circumcised, and the men of his house, those born in the house, those bought with his money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. And the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the door of his tent. In the heat of the day he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men who were standing in the front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the earth and said, O Lord, if you have found favor in your sight, I will pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, while I bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that may pass on, since you have come to your servant. So they said, do as you have said. And Abraham went quickly into the tent to Sarah, and said, quick. 3 tents to Sarah went into the tent of Sarah, and said, quick. 3 Sarahs of fine flour knead it, and made cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, and took a calf tender and good, and gave it to a young man who prepared it quickly. And then he took curds and milk, and the calf that he had prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, where is Sarah your wife? And he said, she is in the tent. The Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife shall have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in the years. The weight of women had ceased to Sarah. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I am worn out, and my Lord is old, I shall have pleasure. The Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you about this time next year, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. He said, no, but you did laugh. And the men set out from there and looked down towards Sodom. And Abraham went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, I shall hide from Abraham what I am about to do, quickly seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and old and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed for him. In him I have chosen him, that he may command his children and his household after to keep the way of the Lord by doing the righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has promised him. The Lord said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know. So the men turned from there and went towards Sodom, but Abraham still stood there before the Lord. And then Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteousness with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city, will you then sweep away the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far it be from you to do such a thing, to be righteousness to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as she wicked. Far be that from you, shall not be the judge of all the earth. Do what is just. And then the Lord said, if I find it at some 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham answered and said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. I who am but the dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy if I find 45 there. Again he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. He will answered, for the sake of 40 I will not do it. And then he said, oh, let the Lord be angry, and then I speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. I suppose 20 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 20 I will not destroy it. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and then I'll speak again. But this once, suppose 10 are found here. He answered, for the sake of 10 I will not destroy it. The Lord went his way, and when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. That is how much we have read. Or I've read. Not that much. I know Saturday I will not be able to make a video. Probably not Friday either, because we have to pick up for our birthday party. Then Saturday we're having another birthday party. So yep, that's all for today. So bye. Hope you'll have a blessed rest of your day.